Welcome to the 5-Year You podcast, a show dedicated to helping you become the best version of yourself one day at a time. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Kat, and we promise to keep it raw, real, and relatable.
Are you ready to grow?
Hey, Five Tribe, welcome back. Today's episode is all about the different habit categories that will help you align with your future self. Most people think that they need more discipline to get their habits going and keep going and maintained, but it's not that. They're actually more about being aligned with that future identity of yourself. And when you do that, life is way easier. I'm Andrew, and with me always is Kat. How you doing today, Kat?
Good. How are you?
Well, I'm good. I really am grateful we're doing this episode just on the different habit types because I feel that it really merited its own episode. Last week's episode was really good as far as the breakdown of habits and what they are and what they're not and how we kind of differ from a lot of other people with our coaching with these habits. This is kind of where we get into the meat and potatoes of it and throw some gravy on it and get maybe some potato chips. And I'm cutting carbs right now, and that's clearly affecting my brain.
That's funny. Yeah. When I feel like saying today we're going to talk about the habit categories, it sounds like it's going to be boring. So let me try to make it more exciting for our listeners today. Today, we are going to give you examples of things you can do to become the best version of yourself. The episode before this, we talked a lot about habits, about eliminating the shame of missing a day of something. And we talked about how habits aren't black and white. It's not a spreadsheet that you check off every single day. Habits are your identity. They reflect who you are as a person and where you are in life. So if you want, you can go back and listen to last week's episode. And if you hear from last week's episode, hi. All right. So today, these 5 habit categories, basically, we're just giving people some ideas of things that they can do. We encouraged people to write down what their future self is like. What does she do? What kind of job does she have? What kind of house do you live in? And then write down the things that person does in order to learn what you have to do to become her, to become him. And so today, we're going to give some examples.
That's right. I like that. And thank you for the great recap. That was really good. When you said you're going to try to make it more interesting, I was like, should I just say, and there may be a unicorn at the end of the show? Or just repeat everything you said, habits. But you did it way better than my AD's marketing scheme. So that was good.
Unicorns work. Unicorns are very Lisa Frank, which is very these in 2000s, I would argue, but it's fine. Go on.
Fair enough. Fair enough. On that note, so when we work with our clients, we get them to identify all these different parts of the layers of life, which is our framework. And one of the things we do is we get them to start with that first habit, that intro habit that is part of their identity. Your identity is confirmation of who you want to be in the future. And the habits are kind of like the coins in the bank of that. So you're just making these weekly deposits, daily deposits, sometimes even hourly deposits, depending on what it is, that say, yes, I am this person. And this is how this future version of myself started. It was by getting up every hour and having a glass of water. It was by making sure I got 8 hours of sleep. It was making sure I did these things consistently. And we always make sure that they're very, very small habits because small habits stack very quickly. And they just give you that really good feeling of, I'm somebody who does this. And your brain starts going, wow, when I make a rule or a habit, I stick with it. That's awesome.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I would say the biggest overarching habit category, it all comes down to self-trust. And this is something that I personally had to learn, is doing something for myself when I said I'm going to do it. Now, I thrive on accountability. That is part of my personality. So if I tell Andrew I'm going to do something, I will bend over backwards to make sure I do it. If I tell the kids I'm going to be there or do something or help them with something, 100%. I will be there on time if you're my friend and we're meeting up for lunch, probably early. I am great at being accountable to other people, but I really had to work on being accountable to myself. I used to let myself down before anybody else. I would make sure everyone else was good and I would be last, right? And so part of building that self-trust, starting when you say you're going to start, right? Keeping the promise you make to yourself, showing up and doing it, even if it's for 5 minutes, telling yourself you're going to do this little small thing and then doing it. And it's just really, really important for becoming that future version, especially if you're somebody who thrives on accountability to other people.
Yeah, I think it's so key, and you're in the boat with pretty much everybody, right? It's way easier to keep an external promise to another person. It's really hard to start harvesting that self-trust within ourselves. The reason for that, and we talked about this last episode a little bit, but I'm going to repeat it just for the sake of anybody that hasn't listened to it yet. Most of the people that we work with have just decimated their self-trust. They have gone through the New Year's resolutions for decades, and they know they're not keeping it, and they're going to start out good, and then it's going to fall off because it's just too much. And we've talked about that too in the last episode. But what we are doing here is we want to cultivate the self-trust within you so that you start to believe again that when you say something, your word is God to yourself. When you say you are going to get up and do this thing, whether it's like wash your face, make your bed, meditate, whatever it is, that you do it, whether it's for 2 seconds or for 20 minutes, if it's the meditation thing. But we really want you to start to trust yourself again.
Yeah.
It's just, we're in a world of lack of self-trust, and it leaks out into every other area of our lives.
Yeah, it's just really hard for a habit to stick without self-trust. I mean, that's why it's the big overarching category. We can, make meal plans all we want, but if you don't, keep the promise to yourself to make the meal plan, then the habit dies, right? So I think reestablishing it, you have to think of yourself like a friend who has let you down. Right? It's going to take time to rebuild that trust for yourself if you kind of have a history of falling off the wagon with these things. It's very, very normal, by the way, to let everyone off the hook. It is an incredibly small percentage of the human population that does not need accountability to do things. Most of us do. And so for the vast majority of people, it's very hard to do things for ourselves. It's a great thing to start. Had to point that one out to begin with, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Andrew, what is the next category after self-trust?
So habit 2 is regulation habits, and that is all about keeping your emotional and nervous system stable. And in a world where everything is designed to knock you off your rocker or put you off kilter, you need to have that regulation inside of you. And it is, again, really important to cultivate. Easier said than done, because most of us are living in a world of like hyper arousal where we are defensive, we're jittery, we have racing thoughts. We go from anger and rage. I'm just looking at my list that I have above here because I keep it here so that I know when I'm in one of the different ventral vagal zones, which again, very big words. And
We're
that I
also
would never
impressed.
use. No, I use them because they're such big scientific words, and it took me literally a year to distinguish hyperarousal and hypoarousal.
Yeah.
When the people were coming up with this, couldn't they just done something a little bit more simplistic for the guy sitting here in a black T-shirt that usually mispronounces most of his words to begin with?
Stop it.
Anyway, the regulation habits are really important. So these are things that taking that pause when you get worked up before you fly off the hook. When you're driving, when somebody cuts you off, you learn to just take that deep breath and the long exhale. When you are dysregulated, everything else is painful. It's like walking on nails everywhere you go and nothing feels right. So having those regulation habits is vital. And there's a lot of ways you can do it, but breath work seems to be like kind of topping the list these days for a lot of us.
Yeah, just breath work, sure. Pausing for a hot second, sure. I mean, I'm sure all of us can think of a moment where we just completely lost it and how bad things had to be to get there, right? How exhausted, how undernourished, how without water, how frustrated, how all the things that have to lead up to you losing it. And I'm sure we can all think of a time where we've seen someone else lose it, usually in traffic, usually with road rage. There's people who've lost it enough to have videos made about them because they've just completely lost their minds at the airport from frustration and exhaustion, right? But the thing is habits won't stick without a calm and regulated nervous system. So having these kind of habits, having the ability to navigate the bad moments and the bad days are very key to becoming the 5-year you version of yourself.
And let's just be honest, all of our clients are like, I see myself in the future being calmer. Nobody says, I see myself being way angrier in the future and just worked up over everything. And I just want to be explosive. Everybody comes in and says, look, I'm dysregulated. And yeah, dysregulation, that tightness that you feel in your shoulders and your chest and your throat, your jaw, that all leads to self-sabotage. And when you can learn to calm your nervous system, you're going to make more aligned choices because it's easier. You're not fighting against this undertow inside of you.
I think one of my favorite quotes is, and I'm sure we're not very good with quotes on this show, but
Are you joining the bad quote boat right now? We got room.
but it's kind of like you can't heal in the place that caused your pain, whatever it is. You can't heal in the relationship that's causing you stress, or you can't learn how to be zen and calm in the job that's toxic. This part of our coaching, if somebody is dealing with a situation like this, is think about your environmental factors, think about the things around you. Sometimes you cannot create the habit within yourself until something externally is shifted or something like that. So the habits themselves, they're reinforcements of who you're becoming. And if you're constantly stressed and constantly overwhelmed, it's hard to become chill, calm, regulated, peaceful you if you're still continuously putting yourselves in situations that are difficult and stressful.
Yeah, you can't build a future self from a constantly overwhelmed nervous system. It's just impossible. You can have the best intentions, but you just don't have the energy and the capability to do it in any sort of meaningful way. It's just, we've observed it. We've both experienced that as well.
Oh,
So
yeah.
habit 3 category is identity confirming habits. And what that is, these are the actions that reinforce who you are becoming. If you're going to become a writer, then you sit down and you write every day, whether it's 1,000 words or one sentence. A writer writes. That is the identity of a writer. A songwriter writes songs. An athlete exercises. These are just different ways of looking at it. But what we're looking for in this identity confirming habits are the things that are the pebbles in the stream that we've alluded to before, that are your future self, that you're crossing the river of change to get to this version of yourself by throwing these stones in the river so you can make a bridge across.
Yeah, I like that very much. Because I think a lot of us identify like, oh no, I eat healthy most of the time, or like, I love yoga, but like I love yoga and I haven't been to a yoga class in a long time. So I would never tell somebody in this present version of me, like, oh, I do yoga, because it's been like forever. But there was a time where I went every week. Depending on who you want to become, sort of writing down what identity confirming habits would get you there. Because
Huh.
every time you go do the thing, every time you sit down to write and you want to become a writer, you're sending a message to your own brain and you're building that self-trust with yourself, and you're saying, this is who I am. It's not even who I'm becoming anymore. You're doing the thing to be that version of you. And so I love that category of habits, actually. I think it's the most impactful one.
I think it is too. And that's definitely the one that people gravitate most towards, I believe, because it's those actions that are like, yes, I know I'm embodying this right now. I know I'm being healthier, more active, better friend, better parent, whatever the identity that you're trying to confirm. And those are the ones that are usually the ones that stick the fastest. It's been my experience with. What would you say?
Yeah, I think that those are the ones that are going to move the needle the most. And I've seen that with our coaching clients. And to be fair, we said this in the episode last week. Have we mentioned you should listen to the episode from last week? But our clients are all the time like, oh, I was doing so good with my working out and then I stopped. And then there's this shame cycle. So we're very big on consistency, not perfection. So every time you do one of those identity confirming habits, it really does help you, at least in our teachings and what we help people do, becoming their 5-year self. I think that is the biggest category.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Category 4 is boundary habits. And these are the habits that are going to protect your energy. They're going to protect your time. You protect your emotional safety, basically protect your peace. A lot of people have trouble with this one. I know I did too. I still do at times. It's hard because you want to people please. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
in us to, please the tribe.
Exactly. It is a part of our DNA as human beings to people please because biologically we are community group species and we survive by being in a group. And so if we upset somebody, it goes against our biology to actively do that. But we don't need community groups for survival anymore. Any of us can go to the grocery store on our own, right? We don't have to hunt and gather. Just sort of knowing that really helps with this. I find with our coaching clients, the thing that is hardest for them is sort of loosening, ending, blocking the contacts, the habits, including friends and family that cause them a lot of strife because they feel very duty bound to keep it up.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge for a lot of people. Saying no, even something as simple as saying no without over explaining, is really challenging when you're a people pleaser or you're feeling just drawn to these people that you've spent your life with, whether it's family or longtime friends. These boundaries can be very, very challenging. It's kind of funny because it's the things that you need to stop doing a lot of the time that are the most impactful to your future self. And those are the hardest ones. It's hard to stop doom scrolling on your phone when you're so used to doing it when you're bored. It's so hard to stop having like that sweet snack after supper because you've done that your whole life. These are the hard ones to stop, but it's through the removal of these things that we gain more peace. We gain more of our self back, or we reinforce that identity that we're trying to become. You can't be a carnivore and a vegetarian at the same time. You're going to have to let one of them go.
Yeah, I love that. It's really hard because everybody has family dynamics. People have maybe friends they've had since childhood, which maybe they've grown out of, but they feel like a duty to keep up. I talk to people all the time like, oh, I got to answer my phone. It's my great aunt. And like they take up like an hour and a half of their time. They're complaining the whole time and they feel very drained. Like, oh, but she might not have that much time left. There is just a lot of guilt swirling around this topic. And I do think that learning boundaries is a super healthy thing to do. And the more that you become comfortable with boundaries, the less guilt you will feel. It's hard. It's hard to tell great auntie, look, I'm going to have to go if the conversation turns really negative. It's really bad for my mental health. It's really, really hard to do that, but we do coach people through it. And in our teachings, we really ask people for the first time in their lives to focus on themselves and what they really want and what's fulfilling and what's good for their brains and their bodies and all of these things. And a lot of times that means shedding some things about their current life.
Yeah. You've told me this about boundaries before. And so I'm going to try to quote you and I'm still going to get it wrong.
What did I say?
Well, I don't know where you got it from, but it's like the people who won't respect your boundaries are the ones that have the most invested in you kind of being a doormat. I'm paraphrasing and I'm definitely making sure I smashed it. But can you say it properly, please, for our listeners?
Yeah. The people who won't like your boundaries are those who benefited from you having none.
That's what I said. Just kidding.
Well, I mean, especially with family and friends who are very, very used to a certain dynamic, when you're the one that changes or you change the tone or you say, I'm not okay with that, it really rocks relationships. It can make for a very stressful transition. But again, we always tell people you're never leaving those you love behind. They're always welcome to come along with you on the journey. They're always welcome to adapt and learn. If they love you and want a positive relationship with you, then I mean, if one of the kids said, I refuse to talk about that, I would respect that boundary. I'm always amazed when people don't respect the boundaries. I would do anything if the kid said, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go there. I'd be like, hey, that's your boundary. You feel passionately about that.
Yeah, I've done the same thing with the kids. I don't want to do this. Okay, that's fine. That's your boundary. I respect it. I think the big takeaway for this particular habit category is what you tolerate teaches others how to treat you. And it also teaches you who you are. When I heard that, I felt that in my chest, even saying it right now. You are teaching the world how to treat you. And more importantly, you are teaching yourself who you actually are. When you decide to be somebody that sets proper boundaries, you teach yourself that you respect the crap out of yourself to honor your boundaries and to be who you are. And yeah, some people aren't going to like it. And they're, like you said, they're welcome to come along on the journey, or they can not. That's on them, not on you.
And that's the thing about habits is that, it seems like this really positive thing, like, yay, I brush my teeth every day. My teeth are so healthy. But the thing is like the habits that really move the needle, they're really hard to learn and work on and stick to and reinforce and go back to. It's not always like a pretty path, but it is always worth it. And this is one of those things that really makes the difference and can free up a lot of your mental space. It gives you the ability to redirect a lot of energy to yourself. Again, similar to the last one, this can move the needle a lot, but I do think this is like the most emotionally difficult habit category.
Absolutely. Whereas the last habit category made you feel good because you were doing things for yourself. This one is doing things for yourself that impacts others. And possibly ruptures dynamics that have been long entrenched in your life. So these are definitely harder ones to do. But as we know, the hardest things to do are usually the reasons why we're here to grow and the things that we need to understand and learn and work through. And that is just a part of it. So habit 5 is reflection habits. I love this one. This one is practicing staying conscious and so you can course correct as you go along. For some people, that can be just reflecting back on their day or doing weekly check-ins or just adjusting their life as they go through it. The biggest thing with this habit is just keeping conscious of the subconscious routines that you are used to doing. For myself, I'm doing the Dr. Joe morning and evening meditations, and it's basically putting yourself in that future self body. And then and you do that and you kind of go back and forth. Then at night you do the same thing, but you are reflecting on your choices in the day. And then you go back through them and how you would have done them as the best version of yourself, with love, with strength, or whatever you wanted to do. And it's been a really good thing because just like watching your video of yourself performing on stage, you'll see things that you miss and you can self-correct. So this consciousness is so important.
Yeah, I think you really do a great job on this category. You're very good at looking back, seeing patterns, seeing improvements. You're very good at what are the highs and lows of today. Like you said, waking up saying, why is today a great day? And you're very good at looking back and saying, oh, like even this time last year, had I had this thought, it would have really upset me. But now I notice it's this. And I think this is definitely a category I could improve upon because I tend to like white knuckle things. And then I'm like, that was a terrible week. Oh my God. And you're like, well, Catherine, you didn't drink any water and you forgot to eat breakfast and lunch and you didn't take any minerals or vitamins. Whereas if it was Andrew, who would have been like, wow, I really need to wake up and take my vitamins tomorrow because you kind of do a better day by day reflection.
Thank you very much for that compliment. That means a lot to me. What I try to do with things is if I'm not feeling good, I will ask myself, why do you feel this way? So maybe my back hurts and that's got me, physical pain kind of puts us in a terrible mood. But I'm always trying to think, look, you're acting a certain way that is really not who you are or who you want to be. Just bringing that awareness into your life, looking at it from a higher self point of view, or just reflecting, you do not look like the person you're usually look like, is a great way of just going, what could I shift right now? What's missing? What needs to be taken away? You can ask yourself all these different questions and understand, you know what? I have a headache at 2 a.m. because I forgot to have coffee, and this is called a caffeine headache right now. And that's why I am trying to burn my computer down for some reason. We're human. We're going to make mistakes. But this reflection really does turn your experience into wisdom. And with that, you are able to change the future pattern and improve upon.
I love that. All right, folks, my parting suggestion for you would be to choose one category out of the 5, maybe an easier one that feels good, and pick a really tiny habit to get started with and let the consistency beat the intensity. Don't beat yourself up. Don't overwhelm yourself. Like just the littlest, tiniest thing that you can pick to start rebuilding that trust with yourself and get this started.
I love that. And remember, you don't need to overhaul your life. You need habits that gently introduce your future self into the present one. Next time, we're going to be talking about crossing that river of change and what to do and how to stay consistent when change feels uncomfortable. It's going to be a really good episode because it's something everybody goes through when they start changing. And it's also the reason why most people stop. So make sure you listen to that one. What's your glimmer today? I was actually going to ask you, which habit are you going to start this week? But I didn't want to put you on the spot. So what's your glimmer this week? What's the little thing that's lighting you up?
I really am trying. I will answer the habit question. I really am trying to walk more. I mean, we have weights and rebounders and stuff in like both houses. But man, it's just been so cold to get out and walk, but it makes me feel better. So that is the little habit that I am trying to start. My glimmer is that Andrew and I, just for fun to like pay for trips and date night, we're always like thrifting and reselling things. And just recently, got like a label maker. Like I was showing my dad all of our stuff in our studio. He's like, wow, you got a full operation. I'm like, how did this go from like finding one cool thing at the thrift store? Like we got so into it because we have no chill, but it makes me smile. And our youngest son is like super into it too. And he just sold a bottle of cologne and he bought it for $7 at TJ Maxx and he sold it online for $21. He was jazzed about tripling his money. He's 11. We have rubbed off on the young chap, and it's just delighted both of us. He was like, send Andrew a picture of me with my first sale. He was like so proud to make it, and it delighted us so much.
So cool. It's just so cool.
What about you?
I love it. Honestly, I was going to use a thrifting one too. I was so grateful. So one of the things that we buy and resell is kind of expensive ties. And I had been looking for I have this list of we found this kind, but I had two that I had never seen before. It was a Brioni tie and an Hermes tie. And I found both of them at the same place. So somebody must have got rid of their tie collection.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had just, got a scratch ticket for $1 million finding those two ties. I'm like, wow, all both at the same time. It was just super exciting. And,
I know.
And
we
funny part
drink, guys. This is our exciting things that we do. This is our dopamine, okay? We don't party and we don't drink. These are our highs, okay?
This is us. And we love ourselves as we are.
Yes, indeed.
But yeah, that was it. So until next time, dear listeners, we'll see you then.
Hey guys, quick disclaimer. We're podcasters on the internet. If you need to seek professional help, please go see your healthcare professional.